Good evening and welcome to State of Business on Art Television. I'm Nadun Sirivardhana. Let's have a look at the headlines. President inaugurates a 150 kilowatt solar power system at Jayashree Mahabodhiya premises. Sri Lanka explores greater economic ties with Thailand. News in detail. President Ranil Wickremesinghe announced an ambitious program aimed at transforming Anuradhapura into a globally renowned city, highlighting its rich cultural education, commercial and economic values. The President said this during the inauguration of a 150 kilowatt solar power system installed at the historic Jayashree Mahabodhiya premises in Anuradhapura recently. The President inaugurated the 150 kilowatt solar power system, marking the first phase of LTL Holdings' net zero carbon emission plan. This system meets the entire power requirement of the Sri Mahabodhiya precinct, marking it a net zero carbon emission zone for the first time in history. President Wickremesinghe emphasized the need to bring Anuradhapura's significance to the world stage, similar to cities like Tanjore, Madras and Sanchipuram. The President said that the government continues to support initiatives at the premises housing the Jayashree Mahabodhiya and at the Atamasthana, ensuring ongoing and future support. State Minister of Transport Lasantha Alagiyawanna emphasized the need to address road safety and announced that a gazette with necessary regulations on speed limits aimed at reducing road accidents will be issued soon. The State Minister made these remarks during a news conference held at the Presidential Media Centre recently. The State Minister said that the new speed limit regulations will be issued within 2 weeks. The State Minister also revealed that the Kadawatha bus terminal is scheduled to be open in August under the patronage of President Ranil Wickremesinghe. The Minister announced that the National Council for Road Safety has allocated 50 million rupees to the Sri Lanka Police for the purchase of necessary speed control equipment. Additionally, road safety clubs will be introduced in schools as an extracurricular activity with a medal awarding program to encourage participation. The Executive Committee of the Sri Lanka Greater Mekong Business Council of the Ceylon Chamber of Commerce recently met with Sri Lanka's Ambassador Designate to Thailand, Vijayanthi Edirisinghe, to discuss further opportunities for trade and investment collaboration across several key industry sectors. During the meeting, Ms. Vijayanthi highlighted the potential for cooperation with a special focus on leveraging the opportunities presented by the Sri Lanka-Thailand Free Trade Agreement. She emphasized the potential for collaboration in agriculture and fisheries, taking advantage of Thailand's expertise to address local challenges in these fields. Educational exchanges were also highlighted, focusing on student exchange programs, joint degree programs, and faculty exchanges in IT, tourism and pharmaceuticals. Prospects for joint ventures in the gem and jewelry sector, as well as healthcare services collaboration for training programs and technology exchange to elevate Sri Lankan healthcare standards were also discussed. The meeting also touched on working with Thai Airways to promote trade exhibition packages, enhance corporate sector engagement, and promote religious and cultural tourism between the two countries. Stay tuned, we will return after this commercial break. Welcome back. The Colombo Stock Exchange, in partnership with the Securities and Exchange Commission of Sri Lanka, conducted an investor forum at a hotel in Gampaha during the weekend. The forum was organized with the objective of raising awareness on the importance of investor education and protection with regards to the investment opportunities in the stock market. Speaking at the event, an executive of the Colombo Stock Exchange Negombo branch, Srima Fernando, distinguished the difference between the primary market and secondary market and shared knowledge on how to purchase a stock. Representing the Securities and Exchange Commission of Sri Lanka, Nimal Kumarasinghe explained the role of the SEC in the capital market and gave a basic purview of the organizations it regulates. Another executive of the Colombo Stock Exchange Negombo branch detailed the functions and the user-friendly time-saving features of the Colombo Stock Exchange mobile application, which is free to be downloaded on the App Store. Analyst Chamath Wickramarachchi shared details and provided valuable insights that a beginner could use when formulating an investing strategy of their own. The event was concluded with a panel discussion including the branch manager of CAC Negombo, Nishantha Batagalla, where the attendees were given the opportunity to ask and clarify doubts about the capital markets. Day traders, investors, potential investors as well as representatives from the Gampa Trade Association were among attendees for the event. First Vice Chairperson of the Women's Chamber of Industry and Commerce, Gayani Dialvis, said that even though there are equal educational and healthcare opportunities for women in Sri Lanka, the political and economic empowerment of women is not yet up to par with international standards. She said this speaking at a press conference advocating for progressive policy changes for women organized by the Women's Policy Action Network and the Advocata Institute in Colombo recently.
The recent the World Economic Forum Global Gender Gap Report, Sri Lanka is precariously placed actually. We are 122 out of 146 and we are of course third out of South Asia, but ahead of us is Bangladesh and Nepal. And globally, of course, it will take 132 years to bridge the gender gap. But nevertheless, if you really look at Sri Lanka per se, I mean, despite having free education and free health and all, we are up there. We have higher rankings in those two elements. But if you look at political empowerment and economic participation, we are really way below. So those are areas, so especially we know in the parliament also the representation, female representation, I think 8 or 12 now, right? 11 now. So 11. So out of the 225. So you really need women. Of course, Parliamentary Women Caucus is really doing a great job and pushing the envelope. But what is important for us is how do we really get our voice heard at that level. We have a skill migration issue. We have a huge dearth of talent in the market. People are leaving. Like what she said, the only way to tap into that opportunity is through getting into more women, allowing them to get into the world of work. So be it in entrepreneurship, be it in working in an organization, all of that is very important to understand, because finally at the end of the day, there are a lot of conscious and unconscious biases.
Further speaking at the event, the former chairperson of the Women's Chamber of Industry and Commerce said that education should be used to change the social construct of the ideal woman and empower them in the economic sphere.
What we need to understand is how do we really make women more enabled, and especially to provide them more opportunities to access finance. And especially most of the women don't actually own their own land. Land rights is a big issue that also she spoke about. And collateral is a big issue. So then how do you, most of the businesses are run by women, but the business is owned by the husband or the brother or father or something. So that's a big problem. So much so that we have an annual entrepreneur awards. We've made it very clear that if you don't own the business and you don't have proper business registration, that you are not eligible to apply for awards. And we have seen that very encouraging. Some of the wives have actually spoken to the husband and got the business percentage ownership for them as well. So there are things happening. So these are little things that you need to really push if you don't educate the masses. Especially at a school level. I mean, if you look at a school textbooks, right? I mean, that you have to start from there. There you show like the mother is cooking in the kitchen, father goes to work or go to the paddy field. So that kind of thing. So from the childhood days, the children think that, okay, mother's place is in the kitchen, not to work. So that kind of mindset change is required.
Stay tuned for the stock update. Trading at Colombo Stock Exchange ended on negative notes today. The all share price index dropped 48.44 points to close at 11,830.48, and the S&P SL 20 dropped 17.91 points to close at 3,456.94. The turnover was 1.2 billion rupees and over 23 million shares were traded. Up next are forex rates. That's all our news for today. For this and more, subscribe to our channel on YouTube and follow us on Facebook. Take care and good night.